Now check this out. He says, a look of terminal shock in your eyes. Now things are really what they seem. No, this is no bad dream. It almost seems like this is a warning to the sheeple that one day reality will descend upon you in a way that you haven't been expecting. And then you'll have this shocked look in your eyes because this isn't something you'd been expecting. But wait a second. I have a challenge to that notion, right? If I am waiting in expectation of a soon-to-arrive predator, am I wasting the best years? Have I, in deciding to do that, have I exchanged the present for some dystopian future? I mean, I almost want death to visit me by surprise, as it does to the rest of the excellent animals. Right? When a sheep is like taken over by a wolf, it hasn't spent its week thinking about wolves. Maybe it should have. I don't know. I mean, would prey animals do better if instead of searching for food and, being in the grasslands, would they be better off if they spent more of their time imagining what being eaten by a predator would be like? And how to like fortify themselves against that end? Isn't that what the wall was about? Now hang on, because I have the lyrics pulled up. And the Lord's Prayer, the Lord's Prayer is our Father who art in heaven. I believe that this might be the prayer of Jabez. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Now, instead of saying he maketh me lie down in green pastures, it says he makes me down to lie. Not accidental. Pink Floyd is saying the sheep is down to lie, namely to him or herself, to pretend that everything is okay, to pretend everything is, business as usual, when, they're just kind of afraid of the consequences of being alert. That maybe the sheep are just have such a low tolerance for discomfort that they bury their heads in the sand, so to speak. They are mixing up the lyrics to this prayer, which is it's crazy. They said, though pastures green, he leadeth me the silent waters by, which is not what the original prayer says. But, I think that what Pink Floyd is doing is a subtle jab at the religious tendency to make sheep out of people, and to have people, instead of really using their minds, being spoon-fed a dogma from a pulpit, right? So, though pastures green, he leadeth me the silent waters by, right? He teaches me to be silent, even though there are green pastures awaiting me if I just kind of wake up, is the idea. But he leadeth me beside the still waters, and I'm sorry if I'm muddying the waters, no pun intended for anyone else, but this is a play on words. They're messing up this prayer, and it's very interesting. pardon me, I was distracted there for a second. The dogs are dead? Wave upon wave of demented avengers march cheerfully out of obscurity into the dream. Now, I think that this is a criticism of the narrative structure of religion, because in order for someone's life to have meaning, they typically have to have some narrative structure. What role do I play in the story? And boy, does religion provide that, right? Religion provides everyone in the religion. Here's the role you play in the grander story of the universe. Here's what you're doing here, right? So he says, wave upon wave of demented avengers march cheerfully out of obscurity into the dream. That's almost Edgar Allan Poe style brilliant writing, first of all. So salute to the lyricism. But you're no longer obscure. You're no longer adrift with respect to what part you play in the narrative structure. Out of obscurity into the dream. Now, have you heard the news? The dogs are dead. And remember, the dogs are those who seek to prey on you from their predatory canopy, let's say. Does religion preach that the dogs are dead? I mean, I've heard it said, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, right? You're not to take vengeance, be obedient to the governing authorities. And so do as you're told, get out of the road if you want to grow old. I think that I'm getting that right, but I might not be. This one's kind of fast, so I might be missing this one. I also don't want it to be missed on you, the celebratory nature of the sound, because though this is a very dark picture that Pink Floyd is painting, it's the good news, right? It's reason to celebrate. The sheep are in a celebratory mode in this blissful ignorance.
You know that I care.
What happens to you?
What happens to you?
Just like the beginning.
And I know that you care. For me too. So I don't feel alone on the way to the stone. Now that I've found somewhere safe to bury my bones, and any fool knows a dog needs a home. A shelter from pigs on the wing.
Family. If we care about one another, I mean, and really think about it before it turns into a cliche, because some of the deepest truths have become cliche in our culture for some reason. But before it becomes a cliche, this caring about one another, caring what happens to you, you caring what happens to me, think of it in terms of the free energy principle that we talked about before with Friston, right? This idea of shortcuts, right? If I don't have to, if I'm in a neighborhood where everyone cares what happens to me, right? Then I can release a little bit of that, right? I can really be present. I don't have to exchange so much of the present for, hypothetical future scenarios and basing what I do on past experiences. I can really be present, for those who have my back and who care what happens to me, if I care what happens to others. So the idea is, I think maybe to avoid being, too sheepish or, too doggish or too piggish, even though we can never necessarily completely rid ourselves of those archetypes, within us. It's better to see ourselves as a way of being, as opposed to like an isolated human being. Remember we talked about cancer and how the cancer cell is kind of a selfish cell. It doesn't see itself as an extension of the organ. It's just this private thing that wants to replicate itself. And I know that that's an oversimplification, but bear with me. The degree to which we are cancers, right? It's like we're going to have to carry the weight of that stone, right? Man. Guys, I don't know whether or not I'm at the end or the beginning of the Pink Floyd journey, because after you hear a Pink Floyd album, it's almost as if you want to go back to the previous ones and figured out, what you missed, because all of these albums are so transformative of perspective. Family, I deeply appreciate you going on this journey with me. Please correspond with me in the comments below, as I would love to hear from you.